Well, Lisa, we are moving right along. We made it 2 episodes out in the direct sunlight.
In the sun, and then moved on back to the shade.
Back to the shade where it's cool.
Yeah.
Which is nice now.
Yes.
At least for while we're hot for a few minutes, the cool breeze is not too bad.
Right.
It's sometimes we just can't be satisfied. We haven't found the perfect podcast location for this day on the Jade yet.
Not yet.
Well, we are on to Psalm 137, so I am Deacon Dave.
I am Layperson Lisa.
Welcome to the Deacon Dave and Layperson Lisa show. Welcome back, everybody, as I am flipping back and forth between the psalm reading and the recording. So here we go. Of David himself, O Lord, I will confess to you with my whole heart, for you have heard the words of my mouth. I will sing psalms to you in the sight of the angels. I will adore before your holy temple, and I will confess your name. It is above your mercy and your truth, for you have magnified your holy name above all. On whatever day that I will call upon you, hear me. You will multiply virtue in my soul. May all the kings of the earth confess to you, O Lord, for they have heard all the words of your mouth. And let them sing in accordance with the ways of the Lord. For great is the glory of the Lord. For the Lord is exalted, and he looks with favor on the humble, but the lofty he knows from a distance. If I wander into the midst of tribulation, you will revive me. For you have extended your hand against the wrath of my enemies, and your right hand has accomplished my salvation. The Lord will provide retribution on my behalf. O Lord, your mercy is forever. Do not disdain the works of your hands. All right, Lisa, so what jumped out at you?
Revive.
Okay, talk to us.
Well, I think sometimes that when we're feeling down or alone or just maybe frustrated with a situation or just really struggling, at least for myself, like I just tend to internalize everything and kind of sulk in it, but God just wants us to rely on him to be revived when we're feeling like that, so that we don't stay in that place that, okay, so, I'm feeling like this, and that's enough of that, and the Lord, then we call upon the Lord to revive us and get us out of that situation. So like you had given me the example of, because my natural tendency is just to withdraw and isolate, but then that does not help me. So like the way that I can be revived is like to like give you or somebody a call and to
Tell them what's going on.
Exactly, and allow God to revive us through others.
Yeah, because if the devil wants you to stay at home by yourself.
Yes.
Because if he can isolate you, then he can continue to get you to double down on whatever it is that's going through you.
Yes.
And so often this is exactly what we do. I mean, there are people who are in their homes and they need help, but they don't want to ask anybody for help.
Right.
Because of shame, or I don't want to bother someone else.
Right.
It's not a bother. That's why the Lord put us into community, right, Lisa? And so that we could do that. And here's what actually happens. When we call on letting other people help us, it goes right back to verse 3. On whatever day that I will call upon you, hear me. You will multiply virtue in my soul. Okay, so, and I'm going to say this is twofold.
Okay.
When we reach out to other members of the body of Christ, okay, number one, we are helping them to grow in virtue, and they can come and help us to get back on the virtue track.
So we're allowing God to use, God is using them as an instrument, and we're being open to that.
Right, and because you're losing faith, right? You're losing hope.
Right.
You're losing maybe even that feeling of love from God.
Right.
That charity.
Sure.
And so you're losing the theological virtues.
Right.
And so when you get someone else, allow them to come in and exercise the virtues in their own life, right? And not only the theological virtues, there's someone playing golf over here. What's the other? Not the theological, but like fortitude, temperance. What are those called? Cardinal virtues. Yeah. Thank you. They can exercise. This is all of these virtues that are grown out of us just asking for help in a time of difficulty.
Yeah, and sometimes when we patience is one of those virtues, and sometimes when we find ourselves being impatient, it means that we're being closed off to God. or any of the virtues, but I'm just using impatience as an example because that's one that I struggle with. So
Right.
I know when I'm not being patient that I'm not acting in a Christ-like manner. So it kind of helps me to be like refocus and be like, okay, back it up, like start like being more open to God, to seeing God in other, or Christ in other people, and to start growing in those virtues.
So let's do a takeaway question for our listeners.
Oh, okay.
In what way in your life do you need to allow the Lord to revive you?
Ah, good.
You know, in what
Yeah.
way are you holding out or doubling down on isolation, but you really need to be revived? I'm going to encourage you to reach out and ask someone for help.
Yes.
I'm Deacon Dave.
I'm layperson Lisa.
See you next time.
Ciao.